Are you good to go, or you want to do it?
I'm good to go. Yeah,
She has a mic.
my voice will carry really well. That thing, that's working, okay? That's working. They can hear me. All right. Just want to say thank you all for being here this evening, and I know that we're going to have a good time as we talk about what we're going to do with levy dollars and getting better acquainted with each other, and it's a real privilege to have you, those of you who made it good tonight, to be here to be a part of this. So I would like to introduce our board very quickly. But before we do that, we will have the flag salute. So if you all stand with me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'd like to introduce our board to you. Actually, Soba is not able to make it this evening. We'll miss her. And Travis Rush is new on the board since last November. And Karen Carr, new on the board since last November. And Rhonda's been here, like me, for a long time. So anyway, we're pleased and privileged to be your board and to represent you. And we hope that you think that we do a decent job of that. So anyway, at this point, I'll turn it over to Rhonda.
Okay, can you all, would it be better if I stood up?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right, I will stand up. I wanted to address just for a minute, one, our gratitude to our community for the support that you've offered in the levy in general. We had two levies. We had an operations levy and then we had the capital levy. We're really here to focus on the capital levy today and to get your feedback. But what I want to talk to you about a little bit about is our operations levy. We've had some conversations and I know that people are talking about, we passed the levy, why are we still having to have higher class sizes and what's going on? And we really want to be transparent with you. So I've had the opportunity as the chair of the small schools for WASDA, Washington State School Directors Association. I have the opportunity to tour small schools all over the state and to collaborate on the work that we do together. And I spent last weekend over in Eastern Washington, and I was at a school called Findlay School District. They too have a wonderful community like ours. Their schools are a little bit smaller than ours, and their community also passed two levies on their behalf. When I was there that day talking to the superintendent, he was literally just almost in tears. And I asked him what was wrong, is there anything we can do to help and support you? And he said, I just got my insurance rate increase and I have to lay off 2 teachers because the insurance rate increase, $150,000. Our insurance went up 20% last year. It's anticipated to go, and they give you a range, up to 50%, an additional 50% this year. That's what happened to them. They got that range and they came in at the highest. There's legislation that's come down that is going to put school districts at financial peril, which means our insurance companies are in financial peril. And because of those things, just the increased costs of insurance, I'm going to give you some statistics that we have here on the increased costs that we have, and then I'll tell you how much the state has been willing to raise our funding this last legislative session. Our water and utilities have gone up 35% this last year, garbage 15%, insurance 53%, and it's going to go up again. They've told us it's going to increase again. Grounds supplies 33%, phone and internet 45%, food 24%, and our diesel costs, you all are also having this issue, 47%. All of those increases come right out of that operations levy. And the state decided that they were going to fund us an additional $21 per student to help us cover those costs. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. We have about 1,500, right? So that is the reason that we are tightening our belts. It's not because we aren't being responsible, we are being as responsible as possible, and we love our teachers, and we're so grateful that we didn't have to do layoffs. We are not grateful that we're having to spread the kids out and do some things to adjust. but it's the circumstances. And we will be continuing to advocate for more adequate funding for education. If you have any questions, Krista's here to help with all of the budgetary questions, and I'm happy to help with any of the policy issues you might have.
James?
Let's see, do you hear me through the mic?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're good then.
Okay.
So, Jim Bear Superintendent, and I just want to say that as I finished my first year, I could never have conceived all the work that you've done and that you've supported throughout the year to make this such a productive year and to set us up for many years to come that are just going to get better and better. I want to echo what Rhonda said, that passing the 2 levies is something that is just monumental. In a time where, following a pandemic, following just the turmoil that follows after that, to pass these 2 levies, it's the first time ever that we're going to see turf, artificial turf, in our town, in our school district, and so just a great sense of gratitude to you for the welcome that you've given me as a superintendent, but more importantly for the way that you've supported our students, each and every one. It's just overwhelming. So tonight we wanted to call this meeting because we felt that one of the things that we owe you and that we know resonates with you is transparency and being included in important decisions. So we thanks to you, we passed a 6-year capital levy, and there are some high level things that we promised in that capital levy that we wanted to go over. And as we start, preparing for 2025, which is when the levy dollars will start coming in for the capital levy, as well as the EP&O levy, then we wanted to get ahead of that, and we wanted to include you on some of those decisions and make sure that you're in the know. So tonight, after we get done with our presentation here, then we will have an opportunity with just a really nice group of people where we're going to be able to go to 4 different tables and kind of formulate some questions, some thoughts. Those will be captured at each table. We do have some vendors here. We reached out to a number of vendors, and some were able to be here tonight. And so they will be at the tables, not one of the 4 tables, but they'll be on the adjacent, so you can start to ask some questions. So the areas that we're talking about tonight, 4 big areas that we promised in the capital levy. The first is technology, maintenance, and upgrades. And so Sally and her table group will be out here to talk a little bit about that. The second area are playgrounds. So a little bit about that. We know that as time goes on, playgrounds have to be tended to just like the building does. And so to make sure that they're up to date, that they're safe, then we'll be replacing playgrounds at Weyerhaeuser, Columbia Crest, as well as Eatonville Elementary School. So we've already started that process. We've started to do the research, and we've also had people out just a little bit to kind of talk with our staff about what would be just the right thing to have for our students. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that, and I believe Nick and Allison will be at that, Lynn and Allison will be at that table to talk more about our playgrounds. Another thing we promised would be to take care of what we've got. It doesn't make sense for us to try to get more if we can't take care of what we've already got. And so that's part of the building renovation, as it was in our resolution that voters voted on. As part of that, we actually have a requirement from Washington State called the Clean Buildings Act. And what that is to get our energy usage up to a certain level to make sure that not only do we save money, which we believe we can probably recoup in about 10 years, but also to make sure there's a fine attached to that if you don't comply to that. And so we have Mo here, and Crystal introduced him a little bit more to a deeper level to kind of talk about that. And then finally, an area that I'm really excited about. I'm excited about all the areas, but one area I'm kind of excited about is to talk about possibilities with our turf and our track. And so we have some opportunities ahead of us to decide, you know, what's the best surface? What does that look like? How do we find something that's usable 24/7, 365? Not as just a school community use facility, but as a community use facility, just like it says. And how do we kind of benefit our whole district, you know, in that area? And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, and Krista will do a little bit of a deep dive into that. So those are the 4 areas, and those are the 4 tables. We'll have 10-minute intervals where you can go to a table, move to the next, the next, the next. And then, as I said, we'll also have astroturf.com and Hellas, who are out there, and they both do, actually do quite a few things, but turf, track, and I believe Hellas also does playgrounds. And so you'll have that opportunity. So we're not really fielding questions in this General Assembly. We're just doing an overview. And then make sure if you have ideas or questions, write those down or formulate those. And then we'll go out. We want to capture all your ideas. We want to get your ideas. We want to entertain your questions to make sure that as we get ready for the 6-year capital levy, that it's all about us, that we're all involved, that we all take ownership in that. And I think as you do that, we're going to see our students benefit more and more from our support. So thank you. And with that, I will turn the time to Krista.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Sink. I'm the Director of Business Services for the Eatonville School District. I've been in finance here for 7 years. We just completed our 7th state audit, and I'm pleased to report that our audit results have improved every year, culminating in our latest audit for the 22-23 school year, which was issued with no deficiencies or weaknesses. You can find the complete report on our website. It's now posted, or on the Washington State Auditor's website. Why is this important? First, it's a significant achievement that requires your own effort from staff across the entire district. It also highlights our district's commitment to fiscal responsibility, one of the core pillars of our recently adopted strategic plan. This audit report also ensures our community benefits from communication and transparency, another key pillar in our strategic plan. Our dedication to fiscal responsibility and transparency is demonstrated by our adherence to hundreds of federal, state, and local laws, as well as various other audits we regularly undergo. Tonight, we're here to discuss the exciting projects ahead of us. In February, our community passed Proposition 1 related to Board Resolution number 741. This resolution established the framework for much-needed projects across the district. If you haven't had the chance to learn about the Capital Facilities Levy, let me share a brief excerpt from the resolution. Section 2, authorization of improvements. The district is committed to the renovation and ongoing major maintenance of its educational facilities across the entire district. The allocated taxes shall be used for, but not limited to, roof replacements, upgrades to heating and mechanical systems, improvements to technology and tech infrastructure. Additional initiatives shall also cover essential energy enhancements, ongoing safety and security system upgrades, improvements to playground facilities, and replacement of the track and field. For more information, and we also have FAQs on our website. It's on the landing page of our website on the upper right-hand side. You'll see a levy box, just click on it. And there's FAQs and resolutions and additional information that you can find out about as it pertains to our capital levy. I share in the excitement about the possibilities and promises this levy brings to our students and our community. I also understand that utilizing these funds will involve extensive strategizing, planning, research, collaboration, coordination, and evaluation. Projects will be prioritized based on several criteria, including capital levy promises, alignment with strategic plan, educational impact, safety and security, ADA accessibility, facility condition, tech and infrastructure needs, energy efficiency, and sustainability. Grant funding opportunities as they rise, liability and risk management, and long-term planning. Currently, we are facing some urgent building issues. Some of you may be aware of those issues. Weyerhaeuser Elementary is looking like they're gonna require a major roof repair, as evidenced by buckets in the hallways from time to time. And heating and cooling systems in several of the buildings, as evidenced by an early morning phone call to our local fire department. These types of projects must be addressed early in the levee's lifespan and cannot be postponed. We are actively applying for grants to address many of these needs, maximizing the use of our local tax dollars. When grant opportunities arise, these projects will often be moved ahead. Additionally, we have a range of other projects, from track and field improvements to tech upgrades, to compliance with the Clean Buildings Act and playground enhancements. While we aim to complete many of these projects within the next few years, the challenge is that the levy funds are actually received over a 6-year period rather than upfront. While we have some remaining levy funds with our current levy for immediate projects, such as starting the playground project, the new levy funds won't actually fully be collected until the end of 2030. That's quite a while away. So I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with you so that everyone has an understanding that it's gonna take some time to get those levy funds. So it'll be some work to prioritize projects and adjust and adjust again. Now, one of the things that I wanted to touch on tonight was the track and field. This project, we have current estimates that it could cost up to $3.5 million in today's dollars. With inflation on the rise, that cost is only gonna increase. However, there's an option that could save us taxpayers a significant amount of money. It is called a limited general obligation bond. This means we could join forces with other districts or municipalities at the state level, and we could borrow against our current levy with a short-term bond. They can be 5 years, 10 years, it just varies depending on the bond. Potentially saving lots of money on interest. So we are currently working with the state treasurer's office to get more information on what that would look like for us, if there are any risk associated with that, and what the true savings could actually be. Because it may make sense for us as a community, as a school board, as a district, to go with that option if it saves us significant more than if we were to wait and do the project 4 years from now and pay significantly more. So we're gonna look into that and see what that net cost difference, that advantage would be for us. So I ask that you consider this as an option and a way for us to save money so that we can maximize the impact of our existing tax dollars that you've entrusted us to. I look forward to hearing your feedback on the topics we've discussed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Mo. Mo and us are becoming quite good friends lately as we talk about the Clean Buildings Act. Mo Salem was awarded a contract with us several years back when we put out a request for proposal. Similar to the bidding process, his company was awarded the contract and continues to consult with us today about how we can meet our energy compliance requirements, as well as other side projects that he's just helped us with in his own time. So this is Mo.
Yes, so I work for ATS. We're out of Renton. We are one of 10 companies that can help school districts with energy efficiency work through RCW 3935, and we were selected through an RFP. While I'm not from the district, I've spent the last few years crawling in roofs and looking at systems, so I feel part of me is from within the district. My wife is a teacher in the K-12 system. She's an elementary school teacher, so I understand being responsible with everything that we do, including us as a company, how we serve the community here. So my commitment to the community is to do what I can to support at the lowest cost possible to the district. I also have 4 boys, 3 of them are in the K-12 system, And when you all speak about turf fields, it gets me excited because my boys, they have sand fields and half the sand is in our garage. Sorry, it's hard to read, but I just wanted to touch high level on the clean building standard. So in 2022 there was legislative action called the Clean Building Standard. Buildings over 50,000 square feet need to meet certain energy targets by 2026 to 2028 based on the building size. But you need 12 months of performance, so that takes away a year in that deadline to show compliance with the energy performance. So if you don't meet those guidelines, then there's a fine, and the fine is hefty enough that it doesn't make sense to pay it, like $100,000 going back to the state instead of investing in your own facilities. The commitment that I have to all K through 12 districts that I work with, and I work with many of them, is to find the most cost-effective way to meet the clean building standard and making sure that there's alignment between what we're trying to do in energy and what the school district really needs long-term. So if something is, like, we're not gonna spend $10 million to try to satisfy the energy compliance pathway. There are ways to show the state that this is not a cost-effective solution. But there's items that we believe, for example, at the high school, we may ultimately have to invest in certain measures like lighting because it has a payback of 8 to 10 years. So our first goal right now is to go through all the utility data, confirm usages for buildings above 50,000 square feet, which is the high school and the middle school, and then come up with an action plan of how do we get into compliance. Initial data shows the middle school as a better energy performer. Generally speaking, middle schools compared to high school, once you have more square footage, you have a pool, you're gonna use a little bit more energy. So we're going through all the utility data. We're also, in the next couple weeks, applying for a state grant. It's an energy audit grant. And basically that's funding from the state to help us study the buildings more. So then we could put budgets to the lighting work, more firm budgets. We can also explain to the state why certain measures we can't do. So we continue to kind of negotiate, work with the state, but ultimately we want to do what's right and what's aligned with your capital levy. And that is my commitment to the school district, is to think about this all the time, be creative, and bring the solutions that best align with the long-term vision for your facilities. And look forward to chatting with you all during the table sessions, and hopefully I can answer questions as we go through.
Words like grants, outside money, they're just music to my ears. Because what that means is that's just going to make our dollars go further, but also that's not on the backs of our taxpayers. And so you've heard the word grants quite a few times tonight, and you'll hear it more because there's some real opportunities. A lot of times the state, rather than just handing over money for certain projects and things, they turn it into a competitive process. And in Eatonville, we love competition. And so we apply for those. So as Mo was talking about, we are trying really hard to find all the grants that will help us to meet the energy standards. And the more we do that, then the less we have to take from our capital projects levy. As far as other grants go, we were recently awarded a $300,000 grant, which will finally fix the restrooms in the stadium. So that'll be probably about 3 stalls in the men's, 3 in the women's. And so we'll get that money, or we're eligible to ask for that money now in July. So that's a real score. But there are a couple of others that we've applied for that we're really excited about that we might, boy, if we can get them, you might see me do a backflip. Because one is a $1.2 million grant, and we're in the second round. In fact, we're in number 2 position right now, and I almost need to do that. I should knock on wood. But we are, we're postured to potentially get this. What that would do is that would potentially allow us to have the turf partially paid for, and then of course it costs us less money, less we have to borrow in order to make that happen. Another one is very similar. So that's a state grant. The other one is actually a federal grant. So we have US representatives and senators, and they have a certain amount of money that they're able to give to their constituents. And so we've put in for that, and that would be for a stadium. And which was not part of the 6-year capital levy, but that would allow us to have that for basically for a year, pretty much close to it. And again, I don't even want to. I hope this doesn't go on some Facebook page that we just got these 2 grants and that we don't deliver on them, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we're through to the second round in each of those 2 grants, and we do have that $300,000 grant. But if we're able to score one or both of those, that would be something. And so, but either way, we're still just trying to do everything we can to write grants to find people who might want a stadium named after them, or just something like that. Just something where we really want to upgrade our facilities for the benefit of our students and our community. I think one thing I just want to again clarify, and not clarify, but just kind of enhance a little bit, is the fact that we know as voters, when we think about the track and the field, there's an old saying that says promises made, promises kept. And that's what we intend to do. And so that, I think, is another reason we're trying so hard to make our dollar stretch, and to also, be so aggressive about grants and other options. So when we did meet, Brandon and we met just a little while ago with Hellas and one of our 2 vendors out here, and they're a full line of turf tracks and playgrounds. And so what we're trying to figure out is if we get 1/6 of the money, $9.3 million is what that capital levy amount total is, plus a little bit. Then, when you break that down into 6 years, you could see it could take some time before you could build up enough money to get a turf and a track. And we also know that there are some other needs, like the Weyerhaeuser roof may not last, we don't know. There's a few things we're just not sure about. And our maintenance department, Brandon and his team work so hard to take care of our facilities, but it's not free. A piece of lumber is more expensive than it ever used to be. And so when you kind of start to do the math, and you start to see that, if you were going to save up $3.5 million today, and then it goes up, I asked him, how much is it going up each year? Like to put a turf in next year, turf and track, how much is that going to go up? And then the next year. And the unfortunate thing is, if you're in construction, is it's going up about 8 to 9% a year. So you start to do the math, and by the time you're able to save enough money to get to that 5th year, 2 bad things happen, in my opinion. Well, 3 probably. One is the voters are like, hey, where's the turf? We voted for that. Where is it? My kids are not out of high school. Number 1. Number 2 is that the cost just goes up so much that it becomes really hard to I guess, fathom, 5 years and now you're paying, 40% more than you were today. And so now you see it's a lot more than $3.5 million, close to 6. And then the last part, of course, is that I think this is the part that bothers me the most, is that you have 4 or 5 years where you could have kids that could be benefiting from that. And so what we're looking at really a lot as a board and as administration is to look at the future financing, advanced financing that will allow for us for a very low interest rate, much less than 8 or 9%, to be able to turn and burn as fast as we can on that one. And so just want to be very transparent on that. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to, first of all, tonight in our 4 table groups, make sure that you bring those up. But always feel free to reach out to me or to any of us to ask any specific questions on that. So, yeah. All right. So without further ado, what we'll do is just kind of even ourselves up. We didn't give you numbers, but there's a goodly amount of people here, just the right amount, so that we have 4 different tables. And again, they are technology, they're track and turf, their playgrounds, and their clean buildings are buildings of energy. And so we'll just do 10 minutes and then we'll just rotate, and 10 more minutes rotate. We'll do that, and then during that time, if you want to break out and you want to go over and talk to any of the vendors, feel free to do so, but they'll also stick around toward the very end. And with that, we will not come back in here and close. We'll just end at that point. And so again, I just want to say thank you. You could be a lot of places tonight and you're here. And feel free to go back and tell others about what you've learned tonight. And with that, thank you so much, and we'll see you out in the foyer.